Hi, today is the second day of Advent, so if you're not celebrating, then it's okay. If you're celebrating, have a quite nice time. And today we will get back to the future. So we will talk mainly on the SSI space, but it's applicable to practically everything. So protocols versus apps. So if you will take a look to the how the internet is built, protocols are everywhere. So the backbone of internet is just a set of crucial protocols that stack on each other on 7 layers, and the top layer is the application layer, and the lowest one is the transport. So and protocols are composable and all other things. But what the main difference between actually the apps and the protocols? So let's take just the email. So you open your email box and you see the emails from completely different email servers and people who use the email protocols like SOAP and so on. And imagine that you have your email as a Google app that are capable just to get the emails from Google and send emails from Google. It's ridiculous, yeah, but it's actually what we have in all other places, everywhere. That apps are locked data, apps not interoperable, and app just do everything themselves. And it's a huge problem right now, and it's a huge problem that actually the Web3 try to solve, so to make things decentralized and interoperable. And actually, it's the main difference between the protocols and apps. I still believe that we should push more to create not yet another e-commerce platform, but do something like Digital Bazaar made, that they actually create the protocol for e-commerce instead of building yet another e-commerce platform. We could build the protocols that allows people to build their own e-commerce platforms, and maybe in the future make this e-commerce platform interoperable with each other. So it's a better, open and democratized world for everybody. So now we understand the difference between the app and protocol. Yeah, the protocol is more if you are the programmer, something like the interface, and the app is more the concrete implementation of the protocol. So it's more like the class that implement this interface. So we know what's to expect from other parties, how they behave, and so on. So usually the protocol really focus on the interfaces. So it's somehow similar to API, but not only. So we have, for example, in SSI exchange protocols, yeah, that we get the request from the verifier what kind of credentials the verifier expect with some complex query language, and we expect from client to implement this query and do the query. So the protocol actually not only have the interface part but behavior part, that we have some expectations that clients and consumers and producers will behave in some particular way. So exchange protocol is the good example of this, that we expect that our holder will query his wallet, find the proper VCs and give back some VCs. So it's one example of the protocol. But as I mentioned, that the internet, it's the stack of protocols that rely on each other. So it's the same in the SSI space. For example, you have the exchange protocols that define how we could share the VC. It's a presentation exchange protocol, for example, or how we obtain the VC from others. So it's the credential manifest protocol that is quite complex. The next level of protocols could be the transport protocols. And we have the transport protocols not on meaning how we send the things on wire, but for example on after the exchange protocols we could base them on the DITCOM that give us the possibility to exchange the messages between two DIDs, yeah, and it's already the lower level of the protocols, but this protocol leaves the question open. How, for example, we get this message? So the format of the message is fixed. It's defined how you could encrypt, decrypt messages and all those things, but it leaves the question open how you transfer the message from one place to another. So it's completely open. It's the main beauty of the protocols, that you could implement this protocol with the concrete application on top of the HTTP, and then you will have CHAPI, for example. Or you could implement this protocol for some binary WebSockets, and it will be super fast and super cool. Or you could just exchange the set of QRs, so you don't even have any kind of communication media. You know that you produce some sequence of QRs, other party will scan these QRs and send you back some other QRs, for example. So it's completely flexible, and it's a good example, for example, how the protocols works together. For example, our SDK implemented their own exchange protocols, quite simplified, and quite good example of the protocol for Affinity SDK is the DID-AUS. So DID-AUS solve the quite important problem that we have in a SSI and in a Web3 world, that you could identify yourself with the private and public key. So we have the distribution of the public key as a DID method, and let's imagine that right now you want to interact with the service that could host some resources for us. For example, store our VCs or give us the access to the revocation list of the VCs that we issued, or get the access to some messages that other people write to us. So how we could make sure that we could access only to our data and protect, for example, our data from others. And DID-AUS is the Affinity SDK protocol that allows to identify the user based on his DID and proof of the private key ownership. In the same point of time, this protocol gives us the possibility to the user to identify that user talk with the particular service and it's not the fraud service, and we could rely that it's really Affinity VC storage service or Affinity message storage service or Affinity revocation list service. So it's both sides that actually describe how the client and server should behave and how they should identify each other. So I really believe in a generation of the some enterprise and domain protocols. For example, I mentioned the digital bazaar that was focused on e-commerce. Right now we have lead guys that actually create some protocols for the security and the ownership. So some other protocols like this decentralized social media protocol like Lens that actually give you the possibility to build decentralized Facebook, or ActivePub that actively used by Mastodon, Federica and the Fediverse that actually do practically the same. So we have some kind of decentralized medias. For example, the PeerTube work on the same protocol, and the side effect of this that they based on the ActiveHub or ActivityPub protocol, that they could interact with each other. So imagine that you could use the same thing to interact with the YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, and they interchangeable, and it's super cool. So I believe that the protocols will be the future. We will get back to the initial idea that the internet was built, and it will give us much more power. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channels, write the comments, put the like, share your experience. It's super important for me to understand what you are doing in a space that we work together. If you do something cool and not in SSI but in the engineering space, let us know. Maybe we could build something cool together. So I wish you the nice advent, good holidays, and see you.